Hey guys, I just finished questioning Steve Bannon at his post-jail release press conference right here at the Lowe's in New York. We asked about plans for the next January 6th, whether he's talked to Trump, whether he's reformed at all. It was an interesting exchange. I was definitely giving him the business. Some of his guys were giving me the side eye. Give it a watch, and we'll be talking about it soon on the Bulwark podcast. We'll see y'all. Hey, Steve. Good to see you. Tim Miller.
Tim Miller.
From the Bulwark. I was listening to your Not a Podcast this morning.
Do you have the pukas on today, or we have the pearls?
I'm clear. No
pukas and pearls. No pukas and pearls.
No pearls or pukas today. Sorry.
This is Tim Miller, one of my favorite guys from MSNBC in the Bulwark. Used to be the spokesman for the Republic. When I met Tim as a younger man, he was the spokesman for the RNC, the old RNC, the establishment RNC, the RNC of Mitt Romney. Not the RNC of Donald Trump. But go ahead, Tim. Question.
Trip it's been, Steve. You said on your Not a Podcast today that the fight will continue from November 5th to Inauguration Day.
Yes.
With January 6th being a key part of that.
Yes.
So are you planning an encore from the last year?
No, Jamie Raskin. I think, Tim, what you ought to focus on is Jamie Raskin. Jamie Raskin saying right now if they take the House by one seat, that they will go back to their committee report and they will say President Trump's an insurrectionist, that Bannon went to prison, Navarro went to prison, President Trump's been indicted, and they will sit there and go, hey, the Supreme Court may have issued a 9-0 opinion about him being on the ballot, but it doesn't mean we have to sit him as president. This is what they're thinking up right now. Nancy Pelosi gave an interview to Rolling Stone magazine. She said her number one priority is to make sure that Donald Trump is not only not re-elected president of the United States, but he never sets foot in the White House. Nancy Pelosi and Jamie Raskin right now are thinking about, and they're very open about it, of not certifying a Trump victory on November 5th. And that's not me saying, that's Jamie Raskin saying it.
Kamala Harris victory. What are your plans for after November 5th if it's a Kamala Harris victory, the ballot box?
We're going to make sure that Kamala Harris doesn't win on November 5th. We're highly confident. We've seen the polls. You've seen the numbers coming in. We're going to look. We believe in the American system of democracy. We believe that, and the reason we like democracy, we're winning, right? And we're going to win on November 5th.
So I do just wonder then if
you do agree with me on Jamie Raskin that Jamie Raskin's already said they're not going to certify President Trump.
I don't agree with that. I do wonder though. You were teaching civics. You're out of prison. I wonder if you're a reformed. Looking back on the last January 6th and the fact that you incited a mob that ended up
hang on. If you look at what we said, is that as the states requested, 7 states requested, never got to. A full review. This is because Vice President Pence didn't handle it correctly. This because Vice President Pence did not handle it correctly. No, absolutely no change. For the simple reason is that we should have had a review as requested by the states for all 7 states at that time. Tim, thank you very much.
One question at a time. Okay.
But Tim, if you want to continue to make speeches, it's good television.
Since you got out of prison? I got one more.
I don't want to talk about personal conversations, but we've had a chat.
You have talked with former President Trump this morning?
We've had a chat.
Have you talked about Election Day coming up?
I don't want to discuss what we're talking about, but by the way, he watches the show. He saw the show this morning. The show this morning didn't talk about my time in prison. What it talked about was 2 things. Number one, a massive grassroots effort that's underway that has to culminate on November 5th, particularly in places like Pennsylvania. It looks like max 15% of Republicans will have voted on the mail-in ballot early voting. Before then, we have to deliver 85% of the people to the polls next Tuesday. He understands that we are the focus and back of people like the Elon Musk of the world and the money he's putting in for his effort, and Charlie Kirk and other independent groups out there that are putting in, that we're driving and enlightening the grassroots movement of the Trump MAGA movement to show up next week. That's number one. And number 2, we had Bill McGinley and Mike Davis and others on to talk about the election integrity, the efforts that they're making, and quite frankly, places like Pennsylvania, that looks like the election administration is a little bit of a dumpster fire right now.
4 years ago, you urged then President Trump to declare victory on election night when you knew all well that there was going to be a decent chance that we would not know if the ballots had yet to be counted.
Hang on.
You went out and did exactly that. Have you urged him to do this?
Hang on for a second. When I said that 4 years ago, it was, why did I say that? Why did I say that? Because a guy named Mark Elias came up with a report that two individuals, Bill McGinley and Raheem Kassam, helped deconstruct in July of 2020. And he walked through how the Democrat Party was going to steal the election with illegitimate mail-in ballots. He said
illegitimate ballots. They were mail ballots that American voters cast.
By the way, we can argue, we can adjudicate that. Hang on. We can argue that President Trump came up at 2:30 in the morning and talked. He should have done it at 11 o'clock at night in 2020. Okay? I am urging President Trump, if the votes come in like it looks like they're going to come in, he should step up and inform the American citizens of exactly what's going on and not keep people in the dark like was done in 2020. So President Trump should step up and walk people through state by state of where these leads are and how these leads came about. We're not prepared. We're not prepared to have in the dark of night all the problems that happened last time. Okay, the 2020 election was stolen. Okay, I will never back off that.
And we know that you wanted him to stay on as president. We know that you wanted the election.
I didn't want that. What I wanted was I wanted the will of the American people at the ballot box to be effectuated. I want the will of the American people at the ballot box to be effectuated.